pale blue dot.
Mate, it's so good to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think Mario put me onto your show. His brother was really liking it, his younger brother.
Oh,
He's also a
shit.
Skevs boy.
Yeah.
And then, like, I feel like I heard about something happening to you.
Yeah.
I can't remember who told me. It must have been someone from school.
Yeah.
And then that kind of piqued my interest, and I was like, might as well
Have a look,
see what this guy's doing.
I know.
Keeping tabs.
Yeah, for everyone that's listening or watching, Tommy and I went to school.
Yeah.
And we weren't best mates, but we were always quite friendly.
Yeah.
And
like, I didn't hate you.
yeah, exactly. We were okay.
Yeah.
We're on the level.
We only punched on a couple of times.
That's right. Yeah. No, but this is the great thing about our modern world, isn't it? That we can stay connected, and some people don't like that, but it's also a great way to communicate. And when you reached out to me, mate, I loved the idea of getting you on the show, because it's interesting. Like we had a similar, we had the same education. You know, it's interesting how our different worlds kind of, because there are some people that are in our year level that are still doing really well. You know, they're happy with themselves, and fuckwits like you and I just went off the fucking beaten road and
can't take that like
we couldn't do it.
linear path.
Yeah,
you have to like just fuck around for ages. And yeah, it's just interesting though, isn't it? Like you go through with like a cohort of guys, and then some people just like go a certain way, and then others like have ups and downs, and it's just because there's a couple of hundred people. Yeah,
there was 240 almost.
I don't think anyone's died yet.
Yeah, I know, we've been lucky, hey.
Yeah.
Really lucky. Yeah. Jesus, yeah, that's a sobering thought. We've been lucky there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for everyone listening at home, I guess, do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a bit about who you are? And...
Hey guys, I'm Tom, I'm 25, from Melbourne, went to St. Kevin's. I feel like my journey kind of started post-school.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. Like I did pretty well at school. Like I didn't find it that difficult. And then like after I left school was when everything just like kind of shit got real. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's like you graduate from like this private school and everything's kind of like on a platter, and it's like
I know
you just expected to like grow into this kind of adult. Like you're 18, you can make your own decisions. You go to work, you go to uni, and like for me, it just did not. It just didn't work that way for a while.
Yes.
I think because we were so spoon fed at that school as well, which I didn't really realize at the time. But like, there were a lot of things that I hadn't figured out, and then kind of like left there and was left to like my own devices. And there's a lot of stuff that hadn't been worked through, I think, and that kind of all caught up with me. Yeah. So I think. So it was like went to school, and then like, do you want me to just tell you the story, or
let's get into it, mate?
From that?
Yeah, that sounds because this is the first time I've heard the story. I don't know what you're gonna say, so I'm really really keen.
Like went to St. Kevin's, kind of had a I can start from the start.
Sure.
If you want. I kind of was always a pretty anxious kid, I think. Had a really tough time in my childhood. Like my perception of things was very extreme, and I was pretty traumatized as a kid. Went through some difficult stuff, and kind of it was just not. It just like wasn't easy being me. I hear it like a lot with other people in recovery. It's like I felt like I just didn't have the manual for life. Like it was like you're meant to do this, this, and this, and like I just didn't know how to handle things. Like I found things like some things challenging. I think that other people didn't find challenging, and then I found other things like really easy that other people didn't find easy. Like I found school wasn't that hard.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
I found like sport wasn't that hard, but like me dealing with myself and like my emotions was really difficult. And I feel like we just didn't get taught anything about that at school. Like I didn't learn anything about that, and I probably, looking back, I probably should have done a lot more therapy when I was younger, and I think that might have like saved me from some stuff, but can't really go back and
that's true.
change that now. so yeah, I just remember like always feeling pretty empty as a kid and like pretty alone. And I think like one of the hallmarks of addiction and stuff is self-reliance. And like I just didn't know how to ask for help. Like shit went on when I was really little and when I was a kid that I like couldn't deal with, but I didn't know how to say like, hey, this happened, like I'm not okay. And I like internalized a lot of that stuff and it just didn't work.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, and I'm sure there were other kids in our year level, and it's a very weird thing because a lot of people are talking about how the underprivileged have all these struggles and then they can rise to the top, but they start at a really kind of disadvantaged area. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have these kids that have everything they could possibly ask for and still can't seem to find themselves, you know? And Carl Jung wrote about that idea where it was essentially, you know, there are people out there that don't know how to find meaning in their lives and don't, as you say, it's just like, I would love to use that. It's awesome. The manual for life. It's brilliant, you know? Whereas these people that have given nothing have had to write their own manual because they don't have anything to go off anyway. So you can't really win unless you have this like beautiful kind of like medium in the middle, you know?
100%.
But I can see you, I can kind of remember us being at school, and I can kind of, now looking back on it, I can kind of see how that anxiety might have been there because I mean, I was in the same boat as well. I was the same, like, you know, you and I were very similar. We were never bullied, you know, we were always pretty good at school, pretty good at sport. Just had this anxiety. We didn't like being ourselves, you know? But yeah, mate, please.
Like you said, like I always just had a problem with me. And I always like, I had this desperate need to be liked, I think. And from a young age, like it was, I don't know, I really used like people and friends a lot to make me feel alright. Even like as young as like primary school, you know, like I was very dependent on certain people to like make me feel alright. Like if I had mates, I felt good. And I didn't like being by myself. And then became like pretty needy as a kid, and it was a tough time. And then like I kind of like, I didn't start taking drugs or anything very early at all because I was pretty, like my mum was pretty hard on me, and like it was very like, you got to do this, like really well meaning, but
of course
kind of pretty strict. And if I tried to push the boundaries, she'd like really like kind of come back and kind of control what I was doing. And and I think like I was just never very rebellious as a kid. So I kind of like just stuck to like going to school and hanging out with mates, and like I didn't have an interest really in drinking or drugs at all. I think like looking back, I think the first time like I felt like I'd found it, which is like what I was missing, was when I met my first girlfriend. And that was probably like, I think I just turned 17. And like I just met this girl and she was amazing, and I just like, for the first time I was like, this is it.
Oh god.
You know what I mean? Like this is all I need. Like, cause it was always like I felt like I just needed something. And eventually that would play out like it was either a girlfriend or drugs. Like it was one or the other.
Wow.
Like I had to have like one of those to kind of feel alright. So like I drank a little bit when I was younger, but nothing like that exciting. I might have smoked weed like a couple of times. Like there was no heavy drug use from a young age. But so like I found her, and that was like amazing for probably like a year and a half. Although like I felt a lot of anxiety in that relationship because I think like I had a lot of abandonment issues from when I was little, and obviously like until you start like unpacking that, you're just conditioned to like behave and like think and feel in like a certain way, and it's 100%. So powerful.
Yes. I know.
And when I was like in that, like I didn't realize, you know what I mean? I was like, hang on, this isn't connected to this, or like this isn't why I do this, or you know?
Yes. It's the unconscious program.
It's the unconscious, like that subconscious that's just in there.
Yeah.
It's actually like mind blowing how kind of intricate that stuff is.
Yes.
But like, so I kind of like, and that reflects back, like I don't think I had much self-esteem, and I don't think I had much self-worth, and I think that was kind of the way I kind of grew up. Kind of paved the way for that sort of like almost like a dependent personality. And so like, yeah, for the first 18 months it was really good, although like I was pretty like on edge and kind of like pretty needy, and yeah, like I kind of found it hard. But that being said, like I felt, I guess like I felt a wholeness that I'd never like really felt before. Like I just had like the feeling it gave me was almost
like love?
Yeah, I'd say love, like just what I'd always been searching for.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that like my parents didn't really give it to me. Like I know they did the best they could and they've like supported me.
Of course.
But I guess I never really like felt it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And when I had this, it was like, yeah, like this is what
it is.
What love is. This is what I'm looking for. And so that went really well for like 18 months. And then like we finished school together. Like we kind of got each other through year 12, and we like started going to Monash together. Like when I pretty much went there because she was going there. Right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I didn't know what the fuck I wanted.
It was
to
love,
do.
mate.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, let's go to Monash. Like we'll do that.
Yeah.
And then I found like I just hit a bit of a wall.
And do you know what's really interesting as well? Like, just made me think of it then. It's, you go through school, right? And the whole time you're set up to take on more responsibility, and then by year 11 and 12, you're the king of the jungle. Yeah. You're like, you are the fucking man here. Especially we went to an elite all-boys school. So we were the kings.
100%.
And then you get out of that, and you're the peasants.
Yeah.
And it's just like your first year uni, you know, and then you got to get a job, and then you got to build yourself up the hierarchy, and you're like, what? I was just up there.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? You know, it's this strange
it's a weird place to be.
System. Like, I wouldn't necessarily blame the system, but it's strange. Like, at least, I mean, it's got a lot of benefits to it, but there's no education around like, hey, like when after school, like life is going to be very different. And this is how some people have coped.
I had no skill set to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah.
I did not know what to do. And especially what I found really difficult, especially with uni, like at school it was just like do this, and then at uni it was like be self-motivated and do whatever you want, and I just could not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was used to getting away with doing nothing, and then like for the first time at uni it was like, unless you put in the work and you know you like get the assignments done, no one's chasing you up for it.
Yeah.
And I like could not handle that, just ended up like withdrawing from subjects, like deferring, because I just didn't like it wasn't really what I wanted to do at the time. You know what I mean? And I probably like should have just taken time off and not done that, but I kind of went through this like really shit cycle of like, man,
you did what you were told. Like, how could you have known any better? You know,
100%.
We were told to go to uni, and it's incredible because like it's so. I just got back from Bali, and like these people will never get a chance at anything in their life. You know, and you're like, holy shit, like that's definitely given me some perspective. You know, but it's also like I don't know. Were we ever taught to? This is why it's good to learn, because then once you know more, you can formulate your opinions better.
I never knew like the underlying reasons for going to uni. It was just like we went to this elite school and they're like, yeah, you should probably go to uni. I was like, oh, that's what everyone else is doing. Like,
stand up when they walk in and sit down when they walk out.
Yeah.
I know.
And I think like not having a very strong sense of self at that time made like I wasn't interested in what I was doing at all. I kind of like fucked up a lot of subject selection at school, and it meant like, because I wanted to do commerce, and I couldn't get in at Monash or Melbourne because I hadn't done like maths methods, and I would have got in like with the ATAR I got, but like because I hadn't done that I couldn't do it. And then I like went to Monash and tried to do arts and like do this like maths bridging course, and it was just like an absolute disaster to be honest.
Yes.
But so like I just was very underprepared and wasn't really like in a good enough place to kind of place any emphasis on like studying and going to uni, and the way it turned out was like it would kind of take a number of years before like I kind of got shit right to actually be like, no, there's actually a lot of value in going to uni, you know, in terms of like furthering your employment prospects and kind of actually developing a passion and like a skill. So
totally.
But at that time, man, I had no concept of that at all. And like I was saying, like I was kind of very preoccupied with like gambling and kind of going out a lot, even like no drug use, like a lot of drinking. And like I was saying, like I think one of my real problems was like I just didn't know how to let people in at all, and I was like, I'm just going to deal with this on my own. And like my family but kind of caught up. My sister had a pretty bad eating disorder.
Yeah.
And so that took up a lot of their time for like a number of years. So it was just me, her, and my parents.
Yeah.
But I think that shifted the focus off me
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I was just kind of trying to deal with it on my own. And I remember when we broke up, like I was just beside myself. Like I just was so devastated. In like probably one of the darkest places like I've been. And I don't know why, like I was just like, I need to like fix this. And I'd heard about like these prescription drugs before called like Xanax and Valium, and I'd never tried them. And I don't know what it was, man. Like to this day, like there was no one told me go and get this, but something in me was like, this is going to like help. So I ended up going to a doctor and got them prescribed. And like the prescription was like take 1 a day. I started off on 2, and then by like 2 years later, I could like go through like the equivalent of like 80 in a day. Like I just picked it up. Like, yeah, wow. It was hectic.
Wow. Yeah. So, well, take us through that moment from the first time you had.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. Like I was just sitting at home, on the couch, and like these things just like kicked in, and I was like, everything's right. Like all that shit, that like all those feelings, those emotions, that pain was just like gone, and I was like, this is it.
Wow.
And I had no idea at that point like how much of a profound impact that was going to have like on me. But for then, because they talk about this as well a lot, right, is like the drugs are actually a really good solution to a certain extent until they become the problem. Like they fucking just worked like exactly what I needed at the time.
Wow.
But like then they stopped working.
Yes.
And the consequences started like building up a lot.
Well, it ironically becomes the thing you're trying to get over.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like, I'm really struggling with a broken heart here. I have this thing that helps me, and then now I need this thing to keep me away from what I'm also trying to get away from. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's because you don't actually deal with like what the feelings or the underlying issues.
Yeah.
It kind of just masks all that for a period and gives you like a temporary reprieve from all that stuff.
And it is again like it is good. They are a temporary solution because someone who's dependent upon anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication is better than someone who's just jumped off a bridge.
Yeah,
100%. You can't help them out.
Yeah.
So it's best to have them on there, but then seeking the help and all that sort of stuff from going. So you had you had 2 pills.
Two of these pills.
What was it? Was it Xanax?
Yeah.
Xanax.
They were like really weak ones. Like I don't know if you know about Xannies or...
Not much.
Yeah, you can get on like the bricks.
Okay.
The bars. You can get these real strong ones. I got onto them later.
Yes.
These were like really weak, but I had 2 of them and it was just like, this is it.
Wow. Yeah. And then, so take us through the journey.
From there, things sort of got better. Like I think my life still lacked a lot of direction.
Yeah.
Like I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my career or like really who I was, but I kind of like kept working, and then like I kind of started going out more. Like, because what happened was like when everything was fucked, like I was trying to like really like repair it and like work on this relationship because I just did like sort of didn't want it to end, even though like I sort of did, if you know what I mean. Like it's
love,
it's
it's a
confusing.
weird thing.
Yeah, man, it's a fucking trip.
As my dad used to say, I don't know where this came from, but he's like, mate, girls, they breathe different air. Yeah. And I was like, this is great advice, Dad. Thanks. I'm into them, but I can't seem to get one. Anyway, sorry.
Teach me how to pull birds.
I know. It was, I still love him, but I know. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, so like my life just tended to get very narrow, I think. And that was the case as well when I was taking drugs. Like any other interests, eventually they would just fall away. You know what I mean? Because like I just get so preoccupied with just getting on the gear. Yeah, like I started reconnecting with a lot of mates, and then I kind of thought I was doing better. But I mean, really, like I wasn't dealing with anything. But I could kind of like, if I looked at it from the outside, like I was going out every weekend, I was just working, not going to uni, but like seeing all my mates and it was a lot better than me like taking drugs at home and just trying to like get by, you know what I mean?
So you're like connecting through the drugs almost?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I met a lot of people that were like partying and just, it's kind of like an age thing as well, you know what I mean?
It is.
Like 20...
It's very normal in Melbourne as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely hit that as well. And, you know, it's just like a beer.
Yeah.
You have a beer and you hit a cap, beer and do a line. It's strange, mate.
You know his beers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, so like I started rebuilding in that sense. But yeah, so I started going out every weekend. Started like, I think I tried MDMA or like Googs like once or twice and really enjoyed it actually. But I was kind of preoccupied with like my girlfriend at the time. So like I was saying, like if I had something like that, like I was like, I don't really need to take drugs. But it's like when that was gone, they became a lot more appealing.
Yes, of course.
So
it's the next thing.
I remember the first night, like I had a few caps and I was out and I was like, fuck, this is really good. Like, yeah, it was just...
I found what I was missing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And like had some really fun times with that. And so yeah, I just had access to drugs and I could get them whenever I wanted and I just kind of like started running with that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like from there it was, like it just increased quickly, like very quickly the amount of drugs I was taking.
Were you still taking the prescription medication?
The thing is like, I never like took them properly. Like maybe I did at the start, like I took a few and like just to kind of like chill out. But then what I figured out was like, if you take heaps of stimulants and then you've got heaps of benzodiazepines, which are like Valium or Xanax, they're like the perfect thing to come down off the gear.
Right.
So like, it's actually like if you're like fucked and you've had too much MDMA or something, often if you go to the hospital, which I can tell you this from first-hand experience, is they'll give you them because they like level you out.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, so they were just the perfect solution. So I could go out and just eat a ridiculous amount of googs or like speed or whatever. And then I'd come and just start eating these and like, you're just fine. Like it just negates any come down you have. So like, if you want to like really get fucked on the gear, it's like everyone that smokes meth will have Xannies because like you can stay up for a few days and then level yourself out. And it just works until it doesn't work, right? Like it works in that short term.
Yes.
But then the rebound anxiety from that stuff, which catches up with you, it might not be the next day or the next week, but is indescribably bad.
Yes.
So I kind of had to deal with that later. But yeah, so I was...
It actually makes me feel a bit like anxious hearing it, you know,
it's
because you can see, I don't know. I mean... You can see kind of someone who's in that state where like if you have a problem, you don't know what the problem is. It's not conscious, so it hasn't been illuminated from the darkness yet. And you are running away from it. And you do all this, and then after all of that, you've got to go to work, or you don't have any drugs again, or you don't have enough money to pay for drugs, and you are just fighting to get out of this cage that's got you locked in.
Yeah, 100%. And the scary thing is like at that time, like I didn't realize how fucked I was.
Yeah.
Like I was so fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, but I just was unaware to the extent because it's hard. You can't really take a step back and look at my life, like your life objectively. You know what I mean? And be
of course.
You just kind of. I felt like I was on airplane mode for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like things were just happening flat out, and I was just not aware of like what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it picked up like 2014. It picked up a lot.
Yeah.
And then,
that's the same year mine did actually. That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a bad year.
It was a rough year, mate.
It's just a shit year.
Oh god, love it.
It wasn't anything to do with your eyes.
Nah.
It was just the year.
Definitely nothing to do with Tom's.
No. Yeah, and the consequences started like very quickly. Like I was just rubbish at taking drugs, man. Like I'd take a lot of them, but I wasn't some hero that could, take ridiculous amounts. Like if I had enough stimulants, I had to have Valium or Xannies to like level me out. Otherwise I just wig out too much and like from lack of sleep and like just losing the plot.
Yeah.
So by the end, I knew it was a problem like in 2014.
Okay.
I knew it was a problem probably like 6 or 12 months from starting, and then I went to Beyond the Valley in 2014 for like the new year. and I took like, and they stopped working as well, like all the gear, like
That would make sense.
it wasn't really doing, and my tolerance was so like high that it was just, especially MDMA, man, you just fry your brain on that stuff.
Yeah.
And like it just, you don't get the same effect. So I got to like the start of 2015, and by this point, like my life has still been so chaotic. Like I haven't done anything with uni. I have no idea what I want to do. And I think, like I've said this before to mates, like I think going out and partying and taking drugs is like the perfect solution if you have no direction in your life. Because you just start living like weekend to weekend and event to event, and like you can kind of forget about like the bigger picture.
Yeah, it can give you something to look forward to.
It can give you something to look forward to, and you don't. I don't know. Like it was almost like life didn't feel as serious as it had for a while.
Yeah, you just kind of Peter Pan.
Yeah, it was like whatever. We'll just go get cooked on the weekend.
Yeah,
have some stupid stories.
I don't need to grow up.
No,
I'm with you.
But yeah, but I mean, it made everything hard, made work hard, made like I was just working basic jobs, just literally to fund my weekends, pretty much. Like still just living at home, doing that. So yeah, in 2014, I'm like, all right, like this needs to stop. Like I was like, I need to. The thing was as well, I always had intentions that were good. You know what I mean? Like I was always like, I want to go to uni, I want to be like healthy, I want to do like I knew that was what I wanted. Yeah. But I just, as long as like drugs were a part of that, it just didn't happen. So yeah, like I made a concerted effort to like get off the gear. Like I was like, I need to stop taking like speed, coke, googs, like all that. I was like, that is just fucking me up way too much.
Did something happen at Beyond the Valley?
No, I did a fair bit of gear there, and it just wasn't giving me anything. Yeah, okay. Like I could tell like I was wigging out a lot more, and like I was just like, this is shit. You know what I mean? This isn't even like that fun anymore. Yeah. And I always wanted to get back on track. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, I want to get like stable and go to uni, and it just got tiring, man. Like never having money, always owing people money. Like it's just living this like very fast lifestyle with like nothing to show for it. Yeah, I'm with you. So yeah, like I was like, right, this is it. You know what I mean? And for 2 months, like I was off all the gear. I think I was smoking a lot of weed. Like just kind of like hanging out with mates, smoking weed, drinking beers, like just doing that. A few zannies here and there, but there was no like googs or any of the uppers really. And for me, that was like a big thing because like I couldn't. It was like every weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it was rare that there'd be more than one weekend when I wasn't properly cooked. Yes. So like to start like building that up, I was like, yeah, okay, this is actually going alright. Yep. But then like I went to a mate's 21st one night and I just got obliterated. Like I was fucked. Yeah. And then my mate called me and we were at Lucky Cock. And then he was like, we're at Revolver, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. Just for everyone listening outside of Melbourne, these are some prominent places in Melbourne. Revolver is kind of known, given the context we're talking about. Yeah, nothing 100%. Wrong with the people that run that place, but they mean well. Exactly, they mean well. Yeah, but these are well known places. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up there. A mate of mine had gear. Yeah. In no state to say no. Of course. Had a fair few googs that night, and then it was like I was just back off and running again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it would have been your tolerance had come down a little bit, yeah. And so you makes sense. A little bit, but yeah, I loved it all the same. You know what I mean? It was still me. And like I was like, fuck yeah, this is sick. Yeah. And then I think they talk about it in psychology. It's called like the rule violation theory. It's like when you say like you can talk about it in the context of like a diet, or like it's like if you have like I'm going to abstain from doing this and like only do this, and then you break that, you're just so much more likely to just go fuck it, like or whatever, because you've broken that initial rule. And that was like for me that kind of goal that I set after I'd already done it. I was like, who cares? Like I've already fucked that up. Like what's the point? Like this year's fucked pretty much. Yeah. So. It's like hazy, but from there, like it was just back on. Wow. You know what I mean? It was just like every weekend. Yeah. And then, but yeah, like it just like my using just picked up like more and more. Not just the weekends. Nah, like I just even like midweek, like go out. I was going out like 3 or 4 times a week probably. Yep. And like trying to work and just being fucked like all the time. And like a lot of the external consequences got worse, like
Yeah.
car crashes, like being off my head. Like I crashed my mum's car once. It's not funny, but like
You can only laugh.
like I'd had like been on a bender and had way too many Xannies, and like I had this massive appetite because I hadn't eaten in like
Of course.
ages. It's like 2 a.m. I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna drive to like 7-Eleven. And I was
Right.
like, not right.
I love it how in that state you thought 7-Eleven and not the yellow M or the dirty bird.
Yeah.
Just so
No, because
specific.
7-Eleven was closer and I wanted donuts. I
Oh,
was like,
that changes everything.
I was like, I need a fucking Krispy Kreme.
I love that.
And so it's like 2 a.m. I just like drive there. It's probably like 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Drive there fine. On the way back, like I'm just driving like recklessly because when
Yeah.
you're on that shit, like you just do not care.
No.
I'm like, there's this roundabout like coming up.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna take this quick, like an F1 driver. I'm just gonna fucking like go around this.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that way. Like just smash into the side of it.
Oh.
Like just destroy the whole front side of the car. And like I'm so fucked at this point. Like I'm just like I'll just drive it home and it'll be sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I wake up the next morning to my dad being like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, I literally don't remember. Like I'm just like I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so.
Did you know you knew it was you? Or just...
I knew it was me. I was like, fuck.
Yes.
And then yeah, so like that sort of stuff started happening, and
Just negative consequences
yeah,
that are
really
hard
building
to
up.
run away from.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just like that's not okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, like my parents had a lot of stuff going on,
Okay.
and I think they probably weren't able to see the magnitude of the problem because of the other stuff they were dealing with. Like shit like that happened. I got arrested for being fucked in the city.
Yeah.
And they kind of knew about that, and like I just paid the fine, and that was that. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
wasn't anything more like done with that.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing that really has like impacted someone you close to individually. It's like, oh wow, I've really done something here. I see what you mean, because money's very, it's illusory. It's just like, I'll pay it and then sweet, I'm all good again.
Yeah.
I haven't really. There's no consequences,
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, like I don't know, but I started like letting people down as well, especially like I was meant to take my sister to get a tattoo for her 18th birthday, like really meant a lot to her. I was so fucked. I was just like, Dad can take you. I'm like, I'm too fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just stuff like that. That was just like, it just like wasn't who I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I don't know. Like, but it felt like I was just trapped.
Yeah.
By
Definitely.
the amount of drugs I was taking.
And you know what? Just to stop you briefly there, like the sad realization is that, we look at addiction based off that rat cage experiment where the rat goes to the water. No, the rat goes to the cocaine water. It's just like, oh, it's bad. It's all bad, But beneath that surface is just this underlying cry for
100%
meaning and connection to yourself.
Yeah.
And, Johann Hari's work is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. I honestly want to play Johann Hari right now because, if you are struggling with addiction on any spectrum,
His
Chasing
TED
the
Talks as
Scream,
well.
his TED Talk,
Yeah.
even The Lost Connections is a fantastic book that will explain a lot about why we feel isolated, and how much. What I love about his work is that we have been socially conditioned for disconnection.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a lot we can do at the same time. It's not like
Yeah.
society needs to change. There are things in society that do need to change, but we can do a lot. I mean, look at you just as a simple anecdote of someone who is incredibly open and honest about how you're talking about these experiences. And it's very weird to hear who this person was and have you sit in front of me because they're not the same person.
Yeah, 100%.
But look, anyway, his stuff is incredible.
Yeah. I got so much out of listening to his stuff. So I'd definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
He's a smart man.
It's great.
Because you interviewed him as well, yeah?
Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah.
Just on a Skype call or something, or?
Nah, he was in Melbourne, and
So you met him?
Yeah. I
Did he
listened.
sit in this chair?
He wasn't sitting in that chair. Yeah, make sure you fart just to keep it. No, I interviewed him.
Chair?
Yeah. No, I interviewed him in his hotel room because I heard him on Joe Rogan. That podcast just blew me away. Goosebumps. Actually quite similar to what I'm feeling right now because it's I'm really hitting home with this. But I emailed him directly. I was like, I have to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And he was nice enough to respond personally. And we had a mad little conversation, and he offered me a beer. Very, very weird considering we were talking about addiction. Just, yeah, mate, let's have 10, you know. But
do you want some rack?
Yeah, sure, great. You know, it's meaningful.
Yeah.
But yeah, his work is great. I think he's a true journalist. He's someone that doesn't necessarily know what he's going to find out, but he's just going to observe and take notes as he does. But yeah, it's amazing to hear you talk about someone like yourself, like you're letting your sister down. You're like, it just doesn't seem like, I don't know you very well, but it doesn't seem like you know. Anyway, mate, yeah.
Because none of that was like that was. I feel like a lot of that stuff for me was like just the wounded like inner child stuff that I hadn't dealt with. And
you're not a bad person. Like most people aren't bad on purpose.
Not at all, man.
You know?
And like the funny you mentioned that, like I remember once I was picking up like a fair bit of gear from my drug dealer, and I owed him like a fair bit of money at the time.
Yeah.
Like I met him he was at this house party, and I think he was blind or something. But like he just came to my car and then like gave me all this gear, and like he just started shaking me, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" He's like, "Man, you've come from a good family, like you could do whatever you want. Like why are you doing all this?" You know what I mean? He's like, because he came from a fairly like marginalised background, and it was always going to like be hard for him, I think.
Right.
Really, like one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
But just like unfortunately,
it was tough.
Yeah. And like negative influences from family stuff.
Yeah.
But like I loved him as a mate, and then for him to like he was just like, mate, like you could do anything you want. Like what is going on? He was like, just fuck all the money. Like come and like I'll like if you want to get clean, like I'll help you get clean. We can train together. Like but he was like, you need to fucking stop doing this. Like
what an epic friend.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because he was my drug dealer as well.
Yeah.
But like he like a lot like we were best mates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, but I just didn't have an answer, man. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I literally don't know why I'm so fucked. Like I just am.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I just had no answer. You know what I mean? I was just like, just give me the gear and I'll like pay the money and like that'll be that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just it stands out. Like I didn't know what to say. Like I was like, I don't know, man. Like it kind of made me feel awkward. In a way.
Well, I mean, you've been faced with a mirror, and you're kind of like, oh shit, who the fuck's that guy? Yeah, that's amazing. That's like a really good friend.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you still in contact?
Don't really. Just too hard. Of course. I think with all that stuff. Really, that was like probably one of the hardest people like I've had to like let go. I think because it just wasn't going to end well for me. I think. Of course. But yeah, so and then another thing that happened was like another mate of mine was like we somehow got talking about like dry July or something. We were talking about like doing periods of sobriety, and he was like, and I was like, yeah, I reckon I could fucking do that. And he was like, no, you couldn't. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, let's make a bet. I was like, done.
We'll just check that camera, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. The table, like, it's such a good table for being like, and then this happened. Yeah. But it's so shaky. Yeah. There's a couple of times I've had to try to stop myself, but I'll do it anyway.
So yeah, he was like, I bet you can't like do a month sober. Yeah. And I was like, nah, like I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I think in part that was me like wanting to know that I could stop as well, and wanting to like know that I wasn't as, I kind of wanted to gauge like how fucked I was.
Of course.
So anyway, like, yeah, this is probably like the end of 2015, probably like, it was October actually. And I had glandular fever at the time because like I'd just been like just destroying my body so much that like I just wasn't well. I was like, it's probably a good time to like, if I'm going to take a break, like take a break. And then, so I did this month sober, but it was like, it was actually horrible. You know what I mean? Because like, all I was doing, I was just going to work. There was no like fitness, there was no exercise. Like I was just going to work, and then I'd still kind of go out on the weekends or go to friends like for drinks and stuff, but I just wouldn't like do anything. And like they were all getting cooked, and like I was just sitting there like, fuck, this is so shit. And the funny thing is like we planned to go to a music festival, like, and I planned it so like the month would end like right before.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I went to this music festival, And then, yeah, so that was in the back of my mind. And then, so I got through the month, right? And everyone's like, oh, you did so well. Like, you know, this is really good. Meanwhile, I'm just like dying inside. I'm like, man, I'm so, like, I still don't know who I am. I'm so unfulfilled. Like, the drugs are kind of like my solution and I'm just like not doing them. Yeah. And I'm like, this is terrible.
You don't have access to the thing that makes you whole.
Yeah, or gives me like some sort of like distorted sense of purpose.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely.
But so yeah, it's just weird. Like everyone's like, "Oh, that's awesome, man! Like I'm so proud of you." I'm like I feel shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this sucks.
It's very strange when the outside world is telling you something that doesn't align with the inside.
Yeah, 100%.
It's very weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Anyway, so like the next day, we're like going to this music festival, right? And like the night before, I just remember we're just at like a mate's house, just like I'm just drinking again, like doing a bit of rack. And I kind of got all these like fake Xannies from like my dealer who like was making them himself. And they were like so strong, and like I hadn't done them in like a month or so. So like I took all this like this gear, and like by the time like I got to this festival, right, like I was just off my head, you know what I mean? And there was like I was not conscious of anything that was going on. Like I rocked up there and I was just destroyed, you know what I mean? So like I go to this festival, like I don't remember much of it, but I'm like just smashing gear like flat out, ending up in the medical tent like every day, like ODing up for like the whole time, like, and then I was meant to come back to work on the Sunday. And like someone gives me a lift back that I'd already arranged, and then like I just couldn't stop. You know what I mean? And then what that looked like was like I was just like at a mate's house drinking, and then like this guy I knew like had shard, and I was just like smoking shard like flat out.
It's meth.
Yeah, meth. And that's something like I said I would never do, but I think like I just reached this point where I just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, because I'd like fucked myself so much, I couldn't go to work, like I lost this job, and then I was like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna like go as hard as I can.
Wow.
So like it really like crossed like a boundary for me, like it just reached this level where like I used to sort of care, and now I just like didn't care. And then like it just culminated in like this 2-week long like just bender, fucked. Like I got all this synthetic ketamine, and like I rocked up at my mate's house. Like I couldn't talk, you know what I mean? And his parents were like, do you have like a fucking brain illness, or like what is wrong with you? And like he was having people over, and like my parents had to come and pick me up, and then it was like just smoking meth at my house with like this guy, and it was just like I had lost it. You know what I mean? Like it was just so fucked. And then I ended up going to sleep finally after. It's all like a bit of a blur.
Of course,
And then like my parents were like, what do you want to do? Like, and I was like, I'm so fucked. You know what I mean? I'm like I don't know what to do anymore. I'm like, I think I need to go to rehab. Like this is not, I don't know, like what's happening.
I can't believe you even said that. Like that's incredible.
Well, I was just done, man. I was like, and I think for me as well, like I always knew like I had potential. I always knew that somewhere deep down, but like I just watch my mates like go to uni, get degrees, like grow up, and I was just trapped, man. You know what I mean? I was just trapped in this cycle that I could not get out of without some sort of intervention. Like I couldn't do it myself. Like I tried, you know what I mean? I'd actually tried.
You did Dry July.
I did Dry July.
I don't think I've ever done Dry July.
I
probably had a beer.
I wouldn't recommend it. Don't plan on going to like some hectic festival.
No.
It's not going to end well. I was fucked.
I know. That's an incredible finish line. Oh man.
It was such a disaster, man. But so like I was just like I need to like get out of Australia. Like I'm fucking like I was, and it brought me back to that like same place. Like after my relationship had ended, I remember just like sitting at home, just like feeling so intensely fucked. And it was like 2 years on, and it was literally the same thing, but it was all from like all this drug use. I was like, this is like... nothing has been like... Nothing is alright anymore. You know what I mean? Like nothing is working.
No, you haven't dealt with... Out of all the times you've tried to make yourself better...
like nothing
changed. No. Nothing changed. You still have this hole in your heart somewhere.
100%, man. And like I was just... I was just done.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, help me. You know what I
Awesome.
mean? I think that was the first time like I've really been like, I need help.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And then
That's amazing.
yeah, I was in like, I think my mum started researching treatment centers, and initially I wanted to go to the States,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, it's pretty far away, and you can go to like Asia for like cheaper, and it's a lot closer to home.
Yeah.
And so they found this really like reputable treatment center in Thailand.
Okay.
I was just like, whatever, like just like sign me up.
Help me out, please. Yeah.
Sign me up.
Why didn't you do anything in Melbourne? Are there rehab centres here?
Yeah, there definitely are. I think like, I don't know. I just wanted to get out of Australia.
Fair
Like
enough.
I just wanted to like really like, yeah, just get away.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't want to be in Melbourne anymore. I was so like over it.
Yeah.
So they're like, we went to Perth for Christmas. And then like I flew out to Thailand on like the 28th of December, I think, 2015. And I did not know what I was getting myself into, man.
Wow.
Like I remember getting there, and like I rock up, like they pick you up from the airport, they take you to this like treatment center, and then like it was like 10 p.m. on like a Monday night, so like a lot of people were asleep, and I just like walked in, and then there was just this like 40-year-old guy that was just fucked. Like I think he was like coming out of some sort of psychosis, like off his head on like antipsychotic meds.
Well,
I was like, okay. And then there's this like Middle Eastern dude.
well, just watch that camera shaking, dude.
Sorry, man.
That's okay.
There's this Middle Eastern dude who's fucked, and I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And then he's like, yeah, I just shoot like 5 grams of heroin a day. Like this is like my 4th time in rehab. And I was like, I don't think I'm like in the right place, man. Like,
Yeah.
I felt very out of my depth. Like I was like one of the youngest there. There was a couple younger. There was probably like 4 or 5 out of 60 that were like younger than me.
Wow.
But like, yeah, I was like, what? Like you just sit there and you're like, how is this like my life?
Yeah.
Like kind of graduated school with like a girlfriend and like pretty much like the world on a platter. Like you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
And then like, I'm just like sitting in this rehab, like, yeah, like how is like, is this a joke? Like,
This is an unbelievable story.
it's a hectic story.
Yeah. It's fascinating, mate. Fascinating.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it was really hard
Of course.
at the start. Like I was so broken, man. You know what I mean? Like I was so like, still coming off like a lot of drugs and like just had no, like I was just really young in a way. You know what I mean?
How old were you this time?
22. Yeah, so it was pretty hectic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And then it took me a while. Like on the second day, I was like, fuck this. Like I want to come home.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'll just stay like 28 days. Because I think I was originally like, I was going to go for like 2 months. And the minimum's like 28 days.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, fuck it. Like I'll just do that. And then slowly, like I just met a lot of people and like just made like some like genuine connections, and it started to like get better. And then yeah, so like I'd been there for a couple of months, and it was actually like the happiest I'd been since I could remember. You know what I mean? Like I was just like hanging out in Thailand, like going to group therapy every day, like playing soccer, like just yeah, it was actually like really, in a weird way, it was like really fun.
Did you feel at all like you wanted to get back into the gear when you were there?
I hadn't really thought about it that much at that point, because I was kind of like still just focusing on like being over there. But yeah, I had no intentions to like stop drinking or like stop smoking weed. Like, and I think that was an age thing as well.
Okay.
But yeah, kind of the way it all transpires, it kind of like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I was there for 2 months, made some really good friends. We like, and like the clientele there, it's really different because it's like an upmarket private rehab. So you're paying a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money to be there.
Yeah.
So like Ben Cousins was there a few months before I was there.
Wow.
Like pro rugby players, like models, like everything. You know what I mean? Like it was, yeah, it's not like your typical like strung out junkie from the streets. Like it was people, like a lot of successful people that were just fucked.
Wow.
And I think that really helped.
Yeah.
like my best mate was like this massive like recruiter from the UK who just works all over the world, made fuckloads of money, like flat out like 8 grams of coke a day, like just like fucked, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But like, yeah, so kind of hearing those sorts of stories, like they resonated with me a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from like when you come from a certain sort of background, like you're not exposed to the sort of like crackheads on the street, or you know what I mean? Like we come from a certain background, like my parents are both professionals, like a lot of, you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
So seeing that side of it, like, yeah,
it would have helped.
It definitely would have helped
because you would have been already. You're in this environment that doesn't feel right. You're kind of like, holy shit! Like I'm not a fucking heroin addict. I'm not like this and that. But if you're put in this world where they're all homeless bums and all this sort of stuff, it's like, hey, I'm not. This isn't me. Like it would be so much harder to open up around people that don't fit your kind of
100%
spectrum of addiction. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so like I had best mates that had like been through it a few times and just had like really cool stories, and kind of like building connections with them and stuff was really fun. Started to get healthier because like I said, man, like I was just ruined by the time I was there. Like I've just been so fucked on drugs for so long that like I could barely run, you know, like I was just like so like I was starting from the bottom basically in terms of like getting well.
Yeah.
So then after a couple of months, they have like a sober living facility, which is like in the city of Chiang Mai. They have like this big house, and like the theory behind it is like you go there for a while to like build a bit more of a foundation, and you get a bit more freedom, if that makes sense. Because like the rehab was pretty much like a country club, sort of like prison. You know what I mean? Like it was like a gated community, like beautiful. But like you don't have a phone, like you're very regimented in what you do, so there's not much like room for decision making, you know what I mean? So they kind of have this like next transitional stage where you stay in this house like in the city of Chiang Mai, which is where it was in northern Thailand. Okay. And they always like advocate for people to kind of go there. Yep. So my mum came and visited me, and then I had a counselling session, and they were like, we think you should go to this house and then like stay there for a couple of months and then reassess, and then you know you can like do what you want after that. Mum was like, do whatever you want, you know, like that. My parents were very supportive. Wow, it's awesome, man. Which was, and like that was such an opportunity, man. Like the whole experience, like a lot of people don't get to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, if you fuck your life up that much, a lot of people don't. You burn bridges that will never be rebuilt. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was definitely fortunate to have all that. And they were like, they were just, I think they were happy to just not see me fucked like all the time. Yeah, of course. So they were like, do you want to just like do that? And like I said, like all my mates were pretty much like going to do that. Okay. So like, sick, like let's just do that. And then from there, like we just moved into this house, and it's kind of like, it's almost like being in like Big Brother, but there's like no cameras. Like it's just this fucking like big house, and there's all these different people, and everyone's like, you kind of build relationships with people, and you go to like therapy, and you go to like AA meetings or NA meetings, and then like you go on excursions like to the jungle, or like just to like see elephants, or you just do heaps of random shit. Yeah. Which was cool. Amazing. And then in there, like I got into cycling as well. So we had this like Swiss guy who was like managing the house, and he was really into cycling, and so like we all just started like cycling, and that became like a real passion of mine. Like we ended up like buying a road bike, and we got into like triathlons and did triathlons. Wow, man, that's amazing. Yeah, it was actually really cool. And then, but what like the thing is like I didn't really know like what I was going to do next. You know what I mean? So I was like, I hadn't been to Melbourne for like 6 months. Like I never went home throughout the whole trip, kind of thing. And like a lot of people were staying on. Like a lot of people either like had online businesses, or they wanted to like teach English or work at the rehab. It was like one of the three. Right. You could pretty much do like 3 things. Yeah. You can't really study there. There's no like reputable unis or anything, so there's not really any option in terms of that. But so I was kind of left like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And it was a pretty like comfortable lifestyle, It was really good. Like I just did like went to group therapy, cycled, trained, like awesome weather like all the time. Like it was nice. No, it was just like relaxing. I got really into meditation as well.
Yeah.
Which was like
It's a game
profound
changer.
for me.
Yeah. And me.
Yeah. So like did all that, got like a lot better. And then yeah, like I was like doing like really well. Like I presented to a lot of families that come in for like family programs.
Wow.
It was cool, man. Like
Yeah.
it started going really well, but then kind of like what happened before, like there was stuff I hadn't dealt with, I think. And like I said, like I always like, it was like drugs or a girlfriend. It was like one or the other. And anyway, like I ended up, this like young girl came into the house we were living in from like a treatment center, and like I kind of like got involved with her. And it's, to give it like some context, it's like in these sorts of places, like you just can't like have relationships with people. It's strictly like you're working on yourself. You have to like, there's no, you know what I mean? They want to keep like people from kind of distracting each other.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
It does.
Like, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a bit of a rite of passage, right, with people that like go to treatment, that like you hook up with someone.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's like a massive thing.
Okay.
Like I had mates there, like one of my mates, like the first time he went to treatment when he was like 21, he met a girl there and ended up marrying her, and like they were together for like 3 years.
Wow.
And then it fell apart. I had another mate that like met a girl that got kicked out, and then they got cooked together and he went back to treatment, but it was just like really prevalent, right?
Yeah. It's a tough one. You can almost justify gender segregated rehab centers because it's like you're both coming together when you're broken and you have all these needs that you haven't yet dealt with in yourself.
100%.
You mix that, it's gonna be dangerous.
Yeah.
It's going to be, But at the time, it's like, oh my god, like this is what I've been searching for.
Yeah, but it was a fucked up, like, being in Thailand, right? A lot of people, like, there's prostitutes. There's like there were some fucking fucked up people there.
Yeah, that's right.
Like people just go like to massage parlors, like flat out, and like not tell anyone, and like just fuck prostitutes, and people would get kicked out for bringing prostitutes to the house, and like it was loose.
Yep.
But yeah, so I met this girl, and I knew, like, I don't know, like I just was infatuated, you know what I mean?
Of course.
She was like a gorgeous, like, young girl. And everyone was like, you need to like separate from her, like, guys need to really have like boundaries and not like hang out, and fuck man, like one thing just led to another, and we ended up like just hooking up, and it picked up from there. Like I just like fell head over heels for her. Yeah. And again, it's kind of like indicative of where I was at. Like I just wasn't, although like I'd gotten off drugs, it's like drugs are not the actual problem. You know what I mean? It's like, they're like a symptom of a much deeper issue.
That's
and
right.
I feel like the first step is getting away from that, but then it's a fucking huge process of like.
That's literally it's literally, you've got a mountain in front of you. You've just put your shoes on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You've just packed your food.
Exactly. You haven't even stepped up that hill.
That is literally the best like analogy. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And then because it's funny, like when I presented at one of these family programs, like I talked about codependency and kind of relationship issues, and I remember one parent was like, "So what have you done to deal with that?" And again, like I didn't really have an answer. You know what I mean? And I was like, I actually don't know. Like I hadn't really worked that much on that. And it's funny how like it ended up transpiring that like that stuff really like ended up coming back up. And so like I'm like with this girl, and we're like sneaking around, because like you have to keep it a secret, right? Like people can't know about that.
No.
And a lot of shame and like guilt involved with that. And anyway, this went on for a while, like, and it just got more and more intense. You know what I mean? And she was from New Zealand, but her family lived in Hong Kong, and we were like, oh, we should move somewhere together, and just all this like delusional. Like it was just like
life will be better when.
Yeah, 100%. Like just a fantasy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It was just I was very lost in that.
Yeah.
And it kind of like really derailed me. Like I just stopped caring about things. You know what I mean? Yeah. I started like being dishonest with people. I stopped like being as focused on my recovery. Like it just becomes this like massive distraction. And I can see why they advocate against it.
Yeah.
And then anyway, what ended up transpiring was like, it ended up getting found out that we were together, and then like I got kicked out of this like trip, like this sober living house, and it really impacted a lot of the people that I was with, because like it's like you're living in this way that's like you're meant to be honest, and you're all like kind of on the same team, right? And you're all like trying to get well together, and like we were just lying like flat out, you know what I mean, and just like being like really deceptive, and it had a pretty big impact on some of the people I was living with. And so that was really hard. And then it was like, so it kind of like the way it came to fruition was like, it ended up being that I didn't really have a choice. It was like, I was just done. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to go and work as an English teacher, or now I'm going to work at this rehab. It was like, no, you're kicked out.
Yeah.
And like, you're going home.
Yeah.
So it was
you got no choice.
Full on, man.
Deep end.
And like, yeah, I was just very like infatuated with this girl. And she was all I cared about, man. You know what I mean? And that really like became a part of my story with things that like these things would just like become all consuming. You know what I mean? And so that kind of happened again. And yeah, I just remember like when it all kind of came out, like I just remember sitting out the front, just like crying, like just flat out being like, my world's just falling apart. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but it was just like this like rock bottom that like I really needed to happen.
Yeah.
And so I ended up coming back to Melbourne, and like I was just broken, man. You know what I mean? Like I was broken again. Yeah. And then I'd done a lot of like recovery stuff there in terms of like NA.
Did you work the 12 steps?
Yeah, still doing that.
What was what's your higher power, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually like I don't really conceptualize it as anything. A lot of the time it's like a belief. It can be a belief in the program.
Oh, nice.
Or just yeah, like I guess like the way I see it is like everything's kind of happened for a reason. You know, like I don't really know how I'm here, like talking to you.
I know.
Like, I just am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a great thing for people to rewind and listen. I think that's a really good point.
Like it's like, how do you, so many people don't make it out of like full on addiction and drugs and stuff. Like, why am I still here?
Yeah.
Like there must be, you know, like crashing cars and doing all this like ridiculous stuff. Like I don't know. I can't make sense of that when there's a lot of people that like don't make it. So I think that in a way,
it's great. Like I think just being humbled about the idea that there are things you don't know is it's a really big burden for the ego to carry. Yeah. The ego kind of dies on that thing. It's just like, what? But no, I know everything, and you know, this is me, and this is who I am, and this is how I can control things. It's like, you have no fucking idea, you piece of shit. Yeah. You know, the egos can be great, but like, it's very humbling and very, it's like the first step of growth to be like, whoa, I don't know.
And that's what was like, for the first time, like, or not really the first time, but when all this happened and I got kicked out of this treatment center and like hurt a lot of people's feelings and was like just destroyed inside, I was just left in this place of like, I actually don't know how to live. Yeah. Like I actually, if you look at like my life, like a lot of it has been a fucking disaster. You know what I mean? And I was just like I actually don't know. Like I think I'm pretty intelligent, but like that has not served me at all. So I think in a way it was a very humbling experience. Like I was just like, I actually need so much more help than I kind of thought. Yeah. Because going into treatment at that age as well, like my drug use was bad, but it wasn't like absolutely horrendous. Like the consequences got bad pretty quickly, but like there were people there that would shoot drugs flat out and stuff, and like just took it to a whole different level in terms of their consumption. And I think going in at that age, if all that like hadn't happened, I really don't know like where I would have ended up. Like I almost feel as though I would have ended up back on the gear if I hadn't. Like I feel like it all kind of happened for a reason. The way it did. Yeah. Because it just really like brought me to this place of like desperation. You know what I mean? I was like, this needs to stop. Like, it's one thing to go to rehab, it's like another thing to kind of like get kicked out and then be left with like, what am I going to do now? Yeah. So I think...
So you've been working the steps, but you still hadn't kind of conceptualized or found that reconciliation with yourself yet? Like there was still some...
I just think like I hadn't gotten to the point where I was desperate. Okay. Like I kind of... If I look back, like I kind of just wanted to fuck off from Australia and like not deal with any of the consequences of what I was doing. Yes. And like going to Thailand was a really good way of like me just like kind of doing whatever I wanted for a while, like getting better, but like not having to look at, okay, where am I going to work now? What am I going to study? Like I wasn't, like I was rebuilding myself in a way, but like I wasn't really rebuilding my life. Like it was still sort of an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the real problem with like a lot of treatment centers that are overseas is like you eventually have to come home and then it's like you're sort of starting again anyway.
There's no perspective is the right word maybe, or just like, hey, you know, when you go back, it's going to be challenging.
They say that, but you just don't really know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would have been able to deal with that if it hadn't happened the way it happened. And I was just forced into it. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, like...
Sometimes that's the best way.
Just like
make or break.
Literally thrown in the deep end.
Yes.
Because I remember like coming back to Melbourne and sitting in this like cab home from the airport, and it was like grey skies, like just like shit weather.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like I've just come from like sun every day, like just like living this life. It just reality just like set in. You know what I mean? And but yeah, like I said, like I think for the first time I was like, yeah, I really need to like keep doing what I'm doing, because I hadn't like taken any drugs in like 10 months.
Amazing.
So like I was still sober, but I was still like fucked at the same time. And then like I knew all about the program, and then I just like started doing that because I was like, what else? Like I was literally like, man, what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like
what else can you do?
I've tried taking heaps of drugs and like they just didn't work. You know what I mean? And like I've dealt with like breakups before, and I had that point of reference, right? And I think that's so important, is like if you haven't been through a breakup, then you don't know what it's like, and you don't know like what you're gonna feel like. So it's like so new. But like I was like, even though it was really upsetting, and like I ended up breaking up with this girl that I was with, and we kind of did long distance for like 2 weeks, and it was never gonna work.
No.
So I just called it quits.
Okay.
And that was really hard, but at the same time, like I was like, I kind of knew how to deal with it because I'd been through it. And yeah, like I was just like, I just knew like there was no amount of drugs that was just gonna work.
I think that's where your intelligence has come into it as well. It's intelligent to be able to reflect and consider how you've tried to go about healing yourself and how little that's actually helped you. You know, that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was also like, it's like I still admit, like I fucking love drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still think about drugs. You know, and
of course,
like all I have is today. You know what I mean? I might take drugs again. Who knows? But like especially like I knew at that time, and I know now, like I don't want to deal with the aftermath of what that looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love being high, but the thought of like having to come back to reality after taking drugs, like the way I took drugs, is like I'd just rather just not even deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just brutal, I think.
Yeah. So take us through. First of all, what do you think you were searching for that has led you through this, from the childhood all the way through the drugs? Like, what have you found?
I think a relationship with self.
Relationship with self.
Connection with self.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And how did you go about finding that?
I think that's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
I think a lot of like the steps as well, like doing the 12 steps and doing a lot of writing, I think helped.
Yeah.
Meditation helped a lot, and like I still do that every day.
Yes.
I'd say therapy as well. I still do therapy. Like that's still a big part of it. I'm actually like really getting a lot more into that now and looking at certain stuff.
And I guess people, you know, I always want to think about how people can resonate with stories like this. And I think there is an assumption that comes with the word addiction, the word therapy, that doesn't need to be there. Therapy is, I am 100% getting therapy from this right now. Just having another person that I was at school with, hearing this story, noting the similarities, learning from your lessons, like it's therapeutic for me. You know? I'm hoping it's therapeutic for people that listen to this. It doesn't have to be going to a psychologist. That is fantastic, you know, but doing something that's meaningful work, doing something for someone else.
100%.
You know, and I think another good thing to recognize is that, and you said it perfectly, is that finding myself, discovering my potential, what I could do that's good, is a journey. It's probably see how we go with this. Yeah, it's an ongoing journey, and I honestly don't believe that we're supposed to know ourselves fundamentally till death, you know. But here's a good way of thinking about it. Every day, if you feel a little bit happier, just being by yourself, and knowing that you could sit in a room for 5 minutes and just sit with yourself, as hard as it is, if it was better than it was yesterday, you're doing something right.
100%. And I think that's what I had to really learn as well, was how to be alone without like being cooked or on drugs, like just being alone with me and my thoughts, like as is.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the most profound thing. It's like, and I got that through meditation as well.
Yeah.
Like just being okay.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the stuff from when I was very young, like I just couldn't be by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I couldn't deal with like me.
Yeah.
And like I had to be around other people, and that kind of created toxic relationships, and then that brought on feelings. And and then I took drugs to deal with the feelings. So it all kind of like worked in a cycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you have to be able to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just rely. Like I just relied on other people to make me feel alright, and no one can do that.
No. And because no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And especially if you don't know who you are as well. You have to get to know yourself for sure.
And I think as well with getting, like, the drugs were very artificial. You know what I mean? The conversations are artificial. Like, they're heaps of fun, don't get me wrong. But, like, that wasn't me when I was on drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, none of that was really real.
Yeah. Yeah. Tommy, what advice would you give to someone that's perhaps listening to this and not necessarily in that world of smoking meth, you know, let's call it a spade a shovel, but feels like they're acting in a way that's not entirely them, or perhaps they don't feel like they have a lot of control?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the first step is like acknowledging that, and like the awareness, right, is the first step of like, okay, this is what's going on, like if this is crossing my boundaries, or like I'm not okay with this. I'd say like acknowledging that would be the first step, and then like you just have to take some sort of action. And I think for me, it's like being able to talk about it and like get that support. And I think like a lot of what I learned from being in that environment, that treatment environment, like I learned how to make real connections with people, and that was like very instrumental in like, building like a sense of connection and not feeling isolated with stuff. Because like I said, like I never knew how to talk about anything. So it was like all in there, but like I kept it to myself.
That's amazing that you actually had to learn how to have a connection with another human being.
Yeah, 100%.
It scares me a little bit, but that's incredible. That's such a good point.
As in like I could have connections, but I was such like a people pleaser, right?
Yeah.
That it was like, I would say whatever I thought I needed to say.
Yeah,
to make
they weren't authentic.
So there's no authenticity in that.
Yeah.
So I think, like learning how to say no to people, but also, like how to just be upfront with people about where I was at was like a big thing. And
can people contact you? Like, do you...
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, if 100%. They're going through that.
Yeah, I've met so many people, man. And like I said, like the recovery community has helped me a lot, I think. Just kind of like meeting people that are dealing with the same stuff. And because a lot of that story, man, and the chaos, like a lot of people won't relate to that. You know what I mean? And when you get people that have been there and you can almost laugh about it, it just kind of eases some of the shame, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's a different, like my life is so different now than how it was back then. Like, just not the same person, man.
It's amazing. Like it really is amazing. And I mean, like I said in the beginning, like we weren't ever super close friends, but we knew each other and we were friendly. We'd always say hi, and we'd sit in similar social groups and things, you know. But to think about, like, it's very strange to like talk with you now as like one of the most genuine and authentic people that I've ever spoken to, you know. And that's my privilege, you know. But to hear who this person was that was doing all these things is very interesting. Yeah,
it's like I said, I think there was just a darkness or a wound in there that, like, you know what I mean? Like I hadn't, because people, like I was always pretty well liked, but I just never understood that, you know what I mean? Because that's not how I felt, and it was like a real process of, and it continues to be like a process of like learning to love myself.
Yeah. Well, mate, I like you.
I like you too, mate.
Tommy, thanks so much for
Good
coming on the
chat.
show, man.
Good chat.
It was
Thanks
awesome.
for having me.
Yeah, loved it. And guys, you know, if you got anything from the show, anything that you want answered, questions, yeah, what are some places they can go to, like websites?
Probably Facebook.
Yeah.
Or if you want to hit me up, you can hit me up on Facebook or email. If you want to, you can chuck a link in.
I'd love to.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of resources, I know that like Beyond Blue is good. I haven't used that personally.
Yeah.
But I'd say see your GP and just like see a psych. I reckon that's the first step for sure. Like just do something like that and then go from there.
Yeah.
I reckon it's as simple as that.
We'll leave it there.
All right, mate.
Done. Thanks, mate.
Done.